All right. Hey, guys.
Hello,
RJ.
everybody. As William likes to say, welcome, Internet, to another Friday live Q&A with the Edge team, talking about some of the latest news, as well as taking your questions live. So feel free to tune in. We're on YouTube and Periscope. Post any questions. We'll try to answer them in the course of our quick 30-minute Q&A session here on this okay Friday here in San Diego. And so as far as stuff that has been coming across our plate over the past week, one hot topic, well, actually, rewind. Quick introductions. Who the heck are we?
Yeah.
RJ, who are we?
Yeah. Edge, QA support. RJ, how you doing?
Got it. So we got RJ Ricasata here, head of our support and QA team, and perfect person to have because he gets actual questions from users.
Yeah,
and so
in the midst of it all.
he's right in the trenches, understanding what people are asking about on a day-to-day basis, what
Right.
issues they're running into, or just general questions about, crypto as a whole. Paul Puey, CEO and co-founder. I get some of those same questions, kind of more into the industry with other companies, macro trends and whatnot. Feel free to answer or ask either style question of us. The kind of hot topic that seems to be coming across our plate as of late, and people are running into some issues with this because this is a challenging thing in the world of cryptocurrency, is BSV and splitting their BSV.
Right. And it got a lot more popular like last 48 hours because BSV jumped in price. But in regards to splitting wallet, splitting
Well, it
BSV.
jumped in price. That's a whole other question.
Yeah,
RJ,
it's
why
a
in the
whole other
world did BSV just jump in price? I saw, at least I turned on a portfolio app and something like a 90%
90
jump
to 100%. I was like, what the hell
in
just
one
happened?
day.
Yeah.
Any insight on that?
The only thing I could find was supposedly like Craig Wright, tricked investors or Chinese investors that he was Satoshi and to invest.
He didn't trick
into
him. He is
BSV.
Satoshi.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Isn't
He is Satoshi.
He is
Who would've-
Satoshi, right? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. So he got some people to believe that he is Satoshi, whether he is or not.
Yeah.
And a huge amount of money probably pumped into BSV over the course of those few days.
Right. And not to mention other promoters pumping BSV.
I mean, there's a lot of fans of BSV.
Yeah.
People pump their bags, and whether that's Bitcoin, Ether, some arbitrary token, and whatnot, you're going to have the promoters. And apparently, the promoters did pretty well as well. I think I saw Calvin Ayre was on Bloomberg.
Ayre, gotcha.
Obviously, a big fan of BSV and promoting that. So the price did hike up, but that caused people to want to be able to access their BSV.
Exactly.
People who probably hadn't accessed it for a long time.
Right.
Like it was just sitting, maybe they had Bitcoin Cash,
Mm-hmm.
and it was sitting on those keys, but hadn't actually withdrawn it. Maybe they wanted to sell it at the high.
Right.
And so what kind of questions do you end up getting from the user base that we're trying to do this?
So I end up getting questions from Ledger Wallet, different kinds of wallets, Abra, where they're trying to access their BSV.
These are people that are using those apps?
Yeah.
Okay, not the actual companies themselves, right?
Right.
People that are using those apps, and how do they access their BSV?
Yeah,
Right.
and they want to utilize Edge to send their BCH over to us so we can split it for them.
Got it. So we almost want to make this episode a bit of a recap on what does it even mean to split your funds, such as splitting BSV from BCH.
Yeah.
What exactly are the tools that help you do this, such as Edge? What are we doing to help that split?
Right.
And where might some hiccups occur?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So ideally, what a split is inside of Edge, when you say you want to split your funds, is we take the exact same keys,
Mm-hmm.
create another wallet, or visually, kind of UI level,
Yeah.
create another wallet, take those same keys and query the BSV network separately from a wallet that queries the BCH network,
Exactly.
right? And it now can find whatever funds you have in each of those keys.
Right.
But if you originally had your funds outside of Edge, say on a hardware wallet like Ledger or on an app like Abra, and you go and send your funds into Edge to try to split them, which you can do,
Yeah.
the requirement is...
Yeah, there might be a few road bumps. So one of the things to double check is to make sure it doesn't have replay protection or it's been already tainted, because
Right.
if you send the BCH over from that wallet, it might only send the BCH and not including the BSV. So that's one of the first hurdles to look into.
Yeah, and when RJ mentions that it might have already been replay protected or split, realize that when you send funds over from one wallet to another, and you're trying to send both BCH and BSV,
Yeah.
technically speaking, there's no 100% guarantee that you're going to send both.
Right.
Right? When you come from a wallet like Ledger, and if it only supports BCH, it's only trying to send BCH. And what you're actually relying on a replay attack
Yeah.
to take that transaction that is a BCH, that's valid on the BCH chain, and replay it on the BSV chain.
So that it's valid on both.
That was invalid on both. So the funny thing is you're actually relying on an attack
Yeah.
in order to get your funds, both funds, sent into Edge
Right.
or any other wallet. So obviously, there's no guarantee that an attack will happen,
Mhm.
but it's very likely because, to the best of our knowledge, there's many services that are not services, but servers that are actually doing this replay attack.
Right.
And so, getting both funds in a transaction into Edge is a requirement,
Yep.
but not a guarantee. Now, even if that transaction were to be replayed, it's not guaranteed that it's valid on both chains. And this is where RJ said the key word of it may be tainted.
Yes.
So if you had funds, some BCH inside of a Ledger wallet, and someone sent to that wallet pure BCH,
Yes.
right? Pure BCH that had no BSV at all, and that transaction is only valid on the BCH chain, and you chose to try to send that entire amount, BCH and BSV, over into Edge. Well, that transaction might sweep all of the funds, including the funds that are just BCH, thereby making that transaction only valid on the BCH chain.
network. Yep.
Right, and so therefore a replay wouldn't work on BSV, and so received into Edge would only be BCH. And then when you hit that split button, split out my BSV, nothing will show up in the BSV wallet.
Yeah, and it's still back on the sending wallet.
And it's still back in your original wallet, like Ledger, Abra, that as some users were mentioning.
Right.
So that's one kind of misconception, and we get a lot of users asking that question. Hey, I sent my funds to Edge, and I said split.
Where is it?
Where's my money?
Yeah.
It
where's
doesn't
the
show
BSV?
up. Yeah, it didn't show up. And this could be a bit of a challenging thing to fix.
Right.
And in the case of a source wallet that doesn't support BSV, really the only way to fix it is to go and extract the keys,
Private keys.
from that
sweep
wallet,
it.
and put it into a wallet that natively supports BSV. You can do this with the individual private keys, not the master private key, but the individual private keys. You can create a BSV wallet in Edge and sweep those private keys
Yeah,
one
so
by
it's
one.
a little bit more technical, but it is possible to get the BSV out of the sending wallet, as long as you have the private seed or the private keys, and you know what addresses they're sitting on.
Right,
Then you'll
right.
be able to sweep it out. So if it's on a bunch of addresses, maybe 5 or 8, you might have to do some digging around.
It might
to
be a
try to
royal
find it.
pain. Yeah, it might be a total royal pain. And especially if you're coming off a hardware wallet, realize that can be a pain because now
Even more.
you're no longer kind of hardware wallet protected, right?
Yeah,
You've
because you
exposed the
expose
private
the
keys.
seed. Yep.
Yeah, I've exposed the seed. And so that becomes in and of itself a bit of a challenge.
Right.
And so getting the funds into a wallet that can do the splitting for you is kind of like the first step.
Right.
But one thing secondary to that is that even though you can show both funds, like say you successfully sent both BCH and BSV into Edge and you went and split it, and now both funds show up,
Right.
there's an extra step that Edge does to do what's called replay protected,
Yes.
right? When you sent that money into Edge, that was via a replay attack, right? The fact you sent both chains.
Now
in
it's
one
in
time.
reverse. It's protection.
Now it's reverse. Now we want to be able to send out the BCH and the BSV independently so that they're not replay attacked, so that you can send only one of them and without the other.
Right.
And in that case, Edge creates a special little transaction that takes your money off your addresses and puts it into another address, and that transaction is only valid on one of the chains.
Right.
I think it's the BCH chain specifically, if I remember correctly. It's been a few months since we implemented this. So that little transaction makes it valid on only one chain. And so therefore, after that fact, those funds that are sitting in the BCH BSV wallet are now split and replay protected.
Yes, but there's also one thing to consider. You also have to wait for at least one confirmation. If you don't wait for a confirmation, you did a split wallet, still pending on the replay protection transaction, and you send off the coins, then you risk having both coins being sent out.
Correct. And I think that's mentioned in the app when you hit that split button.
Yeah, there's a little warning there.
There's a little warning there. Make sure you wait for confirmation and everything settles. Then you can independently transact the BCH and BSV.
Right.
Now, that's now like second step.
Yeah.
Now there's still more hurdles. And once again, this is stuff that is almost impossible to fix at the kind of wallet level. We do our best, but people have to be aware of this.
Yeah.
What's that kind of third hurdle that people run into?
There's users that do test sends. So if you send a little bit of BCH and BSV, and then you split the wallet, and then you send, like, say, the rest of it, and then you think you're good to go, you actually still have to split the wallet each time to protect it.
Right.
Otherwise, you still risk, again, sending both coins.
Right. So realize that the replay protection transaction, that little transaction will protect the funds that are currently in the wallet.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily protect additional incoming funds that come after the fact, because those might also be combined BCH, BSV going into Edge. And if you try to spend, there's a chance that you are going to source those funds that are both BCH and BSV. And when you try to send out just one of them, someone will replay attack that transaction and send it onto the other chain.
Right.
And so it's a bit of a pain. This starts to reduce over time. Right? As the chains start to diverge and all of the inputs start to diverge, over time we'll see that there's fewer and fewer transactions that can work on both chains.
Right.
The inputs, the money sitting in your wallet, will more and more be tainted, and it's less likely. And this is basically what happened with Ethereum Classic.
Yeah.
Right? One transaction on Ethereum was valid on Ethereum Classic, but as more transactions occurred, the chains diverged.
Yeah.
And overall now at this point, if you send, Ethereum, almost certainly it's already been
too
replay
forked.
protected. Yeah, it's mixed in with transactions and funds that are purely Ether. Because realize as miners mine blocks as well, all of those blocks are unique to each individual chain, and any transactions utilizing those funds are unique to the different chains, and that starts to propagate throughout the network. And before you know it, all your funds are protected.
Already separated.
So that's true going forward, but there's still the chance, especially if you were holding onto unsplit funds, unprotected funds, and you send that into Edge, unless you redo the split,
Yes.
which will redo the replay protection, then there's a chance that you'll still send a transaction that sends out both your funds.
Right.
And this is probably one of the most common kind of support ticket questions we get.
And if that does happen, if you happen to send it on a non-custodial wallet, you still can retrieve those BSVs, so it's not the end of,
Not the end of the
it.
world,
Yeah.
right?
And then even if you do send it to an exchange, depending on the rules, I mean, most of them say that they're not going to be able to retrieve it. Technically, it's possible. You might have to push them a little bit, escalate, but it is something that they can work on.
Got it. Yep. All isn't lost, but you may have to work with whatever party received the funds.
Yeah.
If you sent out, pre-split, pre-replay protected funds. If that's yourself in another wallet, you might have to just kind of do the same thing, get the keys out, maybe just send it. Actually, maybe just send it right back into Edge.
Yeah.
If it's a non-custodial wallet that you control. If it's one that someone else controls, now you have to beg them. Like, hey, I only meant to send you BSV. Please send me back to BCH. If it's a fully custodial exchange, now you've really got to beg them if they don't natively have support for it. So definite challenges in unreplay protected splits and forks, such as what happened between BCH and BSV.
Right.
But it's the early era of crypto. A lot of different protocols battling out to figure out which one's going to kind of reign king or which few are going to reign king. And this is just part of the hurdle. It kind of sucks. It sucks for us. It sucks for a lot of the user base. But that's where you have a lot more reward to gain by being in crypto early. You deal with the pains, but you have the
deal with the
potential.
technical stuff. You get rewarded.
You get rewarded. I'm sure in 5-10 years when this never happens, price of crypto will start to plateau as far as its annual gains. It'll be a lot higher, but then potential gains are much lower.
Right.
Yep. Cool. So we got one question on here. I'm not sure if it's too relevant, but I did say ask us anything. So, do you think the Earth is flat? Personally, no.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think the Earth is flat. But answered your question. Thanks for asking. All right. Going to some other questions and topics that we got. So security is, a hot question as of late. People with prices going up and people being a little bit more concerned. Like, oh, it was $100. Now it's a few $100s in my account. We'd like to kind of instill on people some of the kind of good security measures that they could use both in general tech accounts as well as in Edge. And they kind of are, since Edge is kind of account based, it can feel very similar, and you should apply some of the same methodologies to secure your social media accounts, your email accounts, and also your Edge account.
Right. And some of the things that are overlooked are the 2FA feature that we have inside Edge. If more users use that, they could have prevented a lot of the attacks that that could have occurred.
Yep, exactly. So 2FA is a big one. Obviously, being an account-based platform,
Right.
You have a human-generated password, which for a lot of people they make the mistake of reusing across multiple different services. So if you use the same or similar password across multiple services, and one of those services gets compromised, and the database of passwords is leaked, especially an unencrypted database of passwords, which many kind of early websites with poor architecture and design, that's what they had.
Yeah, they just saved it in plain text, right?
Save it in plain text. or poorly encrypted, poorly hashed.
Yes.
Then attackers would have a pool of usernames and passwords to try on other services, try on Edge, try on other websites.
Right.
So it's important to have unique passwords across the different services. And then if you do have, and actually even if you don't, but in general, it would, to protect you against such an attack, just simply enabling 2FA.
Yeah.
It's 2FA I have on all my accounts, but it's not, admittedly, it's not convenient.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a pain. In Edge, we try to provide a bit more convenient option of 2FA.
Right.
You don't have to launch Google Authenticator or register.
It's a lot easier, I think. You can just click of a button, tap the button, toggle it on, you're set, you're good to go.
Yep.
If an attacker somehow got your username and password, they still wouldn't be able to log in.
Right. Exactly. So definitely using 2FA across all your accounts. Go into settings in Edge, look two-factor authentication, mash that enable button, and just get yourself protected in that regard. And that would definitely significantly increase your security.
Right.
Along with, once again, trying to use unique passwords. Go ahead and use a password manager like LastPass.
Yeah.
And get that enabled across your kind of digital ecosystem.
And even using different passwords, don't use slight different variations because they can still kind of brute force that and use, automatically enter different variations of your password, even though it's not exact, but close.
Yeah, usually, especially if you're using a password manager, that one password you use on the password manager should be a very, very
Completely
unique and strong
different.
one.
Yeah.
I have basically two very strong, unique passwords.
Yes.
One is for my password manager, and one is for Edge.
Right.
All right, so I kind of keep them separate because Edge kind of is a password manager, except that instead of passwords you put in it, it's private keys.
Yep.
And it's a bunch of private keys in one. And so I look at it as a password manager. And your brain is capable of handling two very strong, unique passwords.
Yes.
And those are what I effectively use across those two products. And they're able to store kind of everything else in my digital landscape pretty easily. So highly recommended with respect to security. Keep yourself protected. Crypto is going up in value. The hackers will start coming out again.
Yeah, I don't know.
The fraudsters and the scammers and whatnot are going to start coming out.
Exactly, and which brings up another good point. Probably a wise idea to not put yourself in the spotlight. So if you're posting on forums, you don't want to use your real name or your email posting about these kind of topics. At the same time, having that email or username as your same login into whatever wallet that you have.
Yeah, so keep yourself a bit more in the down low if you hold and have a significant amount of crypto, and especially if you're posting on crypto-related forums.
Yeah.
Obviously, crypto-related forums are a big target for attackers, and so if you're posting there, trying to keep a lower profile of who you are, what accounts you have, to keep the attackers away. Just give them a little bit of extra friction so that they go after someone else instead.
Right.
So that's generally good advice. Keep yourself free from those issues. Cool. So on another topic that actually one person here on UPID had mentioned 1Password as a recommendation, and that is definitely one of the more solid, highly recommended, frequently used password managers. So definitely give that a shot.
And we have another one, John from New Jersey. He says he had 2FA on Airbits and he didn't realize it was also on Edge. How long has it been, that Edge had 2FA?
It's actually been since day one. As soon as we launched Edge, Edge has nearly the same security architecture as Airbits.
Right.
So you can take the account that's in Airbits and just log into Edge. If you had 2FA enabled, then there's a way to pair both applications so that both applications would have the 2FA token. But otherwise, yes, we invented one-touch 2FA. I think that was in 2015.
I think it was 2015.
We launched that feature where for the first time ever, you didn't need a second device.
Yeah.
You didn't need a second device. You didn't need a secondary application.
Yeah.
And you didn't need to provide any personal info such as a phone number.
Right.
Because most 2FA required a phone number and email.
Mm.
And so we invented one-touch two-factor where you touch a button and enable it. So yeah, way back in 2015. And then when we launched Edge in 2018, end of 2017 in beta, 2018
Around
in
spring,
production.
winter, yeah.
Yeah, like February 2018.
Yep.
2FA was already live and a capable feature. One thing that we're looking at doing going forward is both reminding people to enable it, as they use the app, as well as making it on by default for new accounts.
Yes.
Want to iron out a few of the kinks. There's a few kinks such as time delay. If your clock is off by a little bit, then 2FA doesn't work well.
Yeah, then search and options might
Exactly.
inaccessible.
So making sure that a few of those kinks are ironed out, and then we'd like to make it just on by default and give our users like rock solid security right off the bat. But thanks for asking that question. Yes, we've had it pretty much since Edge was launched. Anyway, so covering a few other questions that we've had. One question that came across our plate, I think on Twitter earlier this week, was whether or not we would ever offer a Visa card.
Yeah, that's a good one. That would be cool.
It would be kind of cool. You kind of spend your crypto in pretty much any merchant around the world. But our initial answer is we, as a company, as Edge, don't foresee us ever offering a Visa card, like a branded, Edge Visa card. Because as soon as we do that, that puts us in the field of companies considered financial services companies.
Yeah, then it comes to KYC.
KYC.
We don't want your information.
Exactly. No, we partner with many companies that ask for KYC, but they KYC you for specific transactions to be able to buy, sell, trade crypto. But they're not KYCing the Edge wallet and the funds that you have on that wallet and the transactions that you make in there.
Exactly.
Right? They're KYCing a very small subsection of your transactions, which is just the buying and selling and the trading.
Right.
And so we want to stay very, very clear of that and make sure that the account itself is not a KYC'd account in Edge, because it's just an encrypted data wallet, right? It's just encrypting data for you. And so staying away from being a financial services company is important. However, given that, we partner with a lot of financial services companies to offer features such as buy, sell, and in the future, be able to offer the ability to have a more integrated Visa card.
Yep.
Now, we actually have something launching very soon that won't be very different than this.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's very similar to the Simple Excel.
Exactly, Simple Excel. So we announced this in beta. It is in beta testing right now with a handful of users. Right now, only available in Europe, but it will let people sell crypto directly into a credit card you already own.
Yeah.
So instead of having maybe an Edge branded Visa card, you just take whatever Visa card you have that already has the rewards points that you already have, whatever mileage program you want, and then just top it up with crypto from inside of Edge. And so that can accomplish a lot of the user experience that people want out of a card anyway.
Right.
And so that's kind of our model. Like those kind of features that people are looking for, we'll do through partnerships and tightly integrated into the app. And hopefully that kind of suffices for most of the use cases. Cool. All right. Right up against 12:30. We'll round it off with events. What are we up to the next few months, RJ?
Let's see. We have funding coming up.
Oh, well, that's right. Right on our webpage, we will be launching a Bank of the Future campaign, but stay tuned. It's not launched yet.
Then tonight we have, what is it, the Startup
Startup Week, yeah. So San Diego Startup Week is on this week. I think it's ending today. For those of you in San Diego happening to be tuned in, come by the office between 4 and 8 o'clock here at Edge. We'll have some snacks and beer.
Yeah.
We're one of the several startups that are hosting a startup crawl here in San Diego for the end of Startup Week. So hopefully we'll see a few hundred people come on through and meet and greet some of the folks here over at Edge. And then as well in June, which is a day away, but mid to late June, we have a couple of our folks going to Bitcoin 2019, hosted by BTC Media Inc.
Okay.
BTC Inc., BTC Media, Bitcoin Magazine. It's kind of a hail back to the origins and history of good old Bitcoin.
Nice.
The days when that was cryptocurrency, was just good old Bitcoin. So we'll be attending that. Brett Musser on our dev team, as well as Peter on our biz dev team will be attending. So feel free to reach out. They're both on Twitter as well, and say
so
hi.
If you see them, say hi.
Exactly. So we'll be attending and having some meetings with some folks over there. So catch us over at Bitcoin 2019. And as soon as we have updates on future events come fall,
Maybe
we'll definitely
maybe a LibitConf.
maybe a
in the fall.
LibitConf. Some two big ones that we're considering is LibitConf. We both had a great time over there.
Yeah.
Last
really
year,
nice.
Rodolfo, thanks so much for having us, and likely DevCon, Ethereum DevCon, which is going to be over in Japan in, I believe, October this year. So catch us then. In the meantime, see you soon, and remember, not your keys.
Yeah, not your money.
Take care, guys.
Not your Bitcoin.